Everybody's getting all dressed up and fancy for the PRIDE Gala. But the kids decide to use this opportunity to get some concrete evidence on their parents' activities. Oh, that's right, baby. It's Heist Time on Marvel's Runaways. Season 1, Episode 6. Metamorphosis. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome back to our continuing coverage reviews of Season 1 of Runaways. So, spoilers keep on coming. So, Episode 6 starts out like many of the other episodes have started out, with a flashback scene. Here, we're looking back 15 years to really the first gathering of our PRIDE group. Brought together by Jonah, shown the sanctum down there in the basement, getting the red robes, and really showing what the whole purpose is here. Interesting point here, the casket already made. Not an invention by Victor, which seemed to be implied with the earlier episodes. But no, this is something that Jonah already has, is already doing. And Leslie really already involved, bringing up, I guess, what might be the first sacrifice here, or of this group. I mean, we named 15, but I was wondering with Leslie's kind of introduction here with this Gaborum sacrifice, has she been doing this already? How long has Victor and, Leslie and Jonah been together? I mean, that's 15 years ago, and the kids are 17, and Jonah is Carolina's dad. They've got to have been together at least a little bit longer than that. But this is the first big Pride meeting, which they're not really into. I like how the sacrifice is kind of done in front of them, but they don't really know anything of what's going on until it's already happened. And yes, there's resistance, but the camera that was found at the end of last episode is really the point that we have right here of taping that so Jonah can show them, well, you're accessories at this point. You might as well, you're already signed up, you might as well keep on going. We also get our first glimpse of Molly's parents in this scene. Definitely very vocal about their rejection of this idea. They do get pulled into it, but for how much longer? Seems only a couple of years before they end up going. So we're seeing already how much of a stronger resistance they're having to these choices than most anyone else really is in the group. So yeah, that gives us our little insight, and of course, seeing this, what this flashback is doing is, again, connecting with the camera that was found at the end of last episode, giving Alex the idea of, okay, this is taped, and it's connected up to the Wizard servers. We're going to have to go and get that tape, give proof of what the parents have done. And the only way to get in there is during the big fancy gala. Yeah, and I love their whole meeting there too when they finally decide to do that. This is the plan, and they get all the hands in. It's like, is this what we do? How long do we hold this? A little bit of uncomfortable. Just kind of a great little moment. We always think of like, hands in team, yay! But I guess the first time, a little uncomfortable. Now, we do get a little bit of the unexpected parental bonding that kind of started last week's episode and kind of before that with Chase. We have, of course, Tina now grabbing Nico and saying, it's training time. I'm going to train you how to use this staff. Now, I was kind of interested with some of the background because Nico was, of course, asking about the staff. Tina seems to imply that this was created in Wizards' labs. You know, it's DNA coded to her, which is why it's got to do the little prick of from the thumb there, a little bit of blood to activate, and that it's got some neural connector. Nico's not really buying that, and I'm not really sure how much I'm buying it. Now, the blood bit is used later on to get into Tina's server and stuff like that, into her desk and everything. So that does seem to kind of back up that story. But the previous thing that we got there about, it seemed that Jonah gave the staff to Tina. I mean, which she had just gotten, she was sleeping with it, which was, I thought was kind of funny since she gave it to Nico, who was also kind of sleeping with it also. Bonding with our technology. So I am kind of curious here, is this something that Jonah had and gave to Tina, and so she's just coming up with this story in order to sort of keep Jonah out of the picture at the moment? Or did Jonah give Tina the knowledge to create it, and then it was created up in the Wizard Lab? So not entirely sure where that is. We seem to have conflicting stories, and I'm not entirely sure where I'm leaning on that right now. We also have kind of a little bit more bonding between, well, we got bonding between, you got a great scene between Carolina and Frank Dean, which kind of explains some stuff. Kind of was wondering why Frank isn't in Pride when everybody else is a couple. And that was kind of quickly dismissed here as like, well, that just always seemed to be your mom's thing. I'm looking for my own thing. So, I mean, it's a simple explanation, but at least it does give us an answer. Chase and Victor still doing a little bit of bonding there, a little bit of sharing of stories and so on. However, as soon as Chase wits away, that's when Victor decides to go in and start listening to the phones that he has bugged and cloned and bugged for both his wife and from Robert. We did get the scene in the previous episode there with the whole thumb touching. Here, let me help you, and touch the thumb in a very obvious way. Victor just saw that instantly. I mean, even there was kind of a great moment there, I think at the end of the last episode, where we had both Victor and Robert kind of looking over at Janet like, what are you doing? So yeah, bad move, totally cleared things in, which has him listening into their conversations. Not a nice thing, but we can see this is the obsessive side of Victor, and certainly overhearing some very nasty stuff said about him. Now, with the kids getting ready does start to sort of create the little bit of, sexual relationship tension that's developing here with the group. Everybody is interested seemingly in someone else. We've got Gert, who's into Chase, but Chase is into Carolina. But Carolina is actually into Nico, and Nico is into Alex. And one good thing there is that Alex does seem to be into Nico also, so at least there is one pairing that seems to be kind of working. Certainly with a kiss again last episode that happened. Molly is the only one that seems to be kind of left out about that whole thing. And maybe that's why she makes some of the poor choices that she does later on in the episode. Also, have to give out great cameo shot of the late, great Stan Lee as the limo driver. I had heard that there was a Stan Lee cameo in this show. It was a nice, perfect, small little moment, and I gotta say, it warmed my heart and made me a little bit of sad seeing Stan there. It was like, man, still in the Marvel group, man. So good seeing you. I'm gonna miss you. Now, the heist itself went on pretty well, I think, overall. The choice to use Gert to flirt, I thought was sort of an interesting choice, that she was the one to go and flirt with the guard there, was effective. Certainly conversations about cockroaches, man, that's how you hold any girl's attention, right? But sending Nico and Alex down, Nico's got mom's card, also has her blood, so can sort of useful in both ways. Heading down to the server room, which doesn't work, so they got to head up to the office. Loved Alex quoting Trom there. Again, another moment in this episode that really warmed my heart. Trom was my favorite film growing up. And the minute that he said, from the other side of the screen, it all looks so easy. It was like, Kevin Flynn! It's awesome! Anyway, so of course they've got to go up to Tina's office, where again we have that same blood DNA test in order to get into her desk and sort of unlock the computer so that they can finally start downloading this video file to implicate their parents. Nice use of the old Star Wars arcade game, and we have Mr. Kincaid coming down, Tina's little tattooed information guy. Again, it was kind of a great moment there, how they're like, don't let Tina see this, she's going to get very upset. And then when she comes by dealing with the other stuff, totally doesn't pay any attention. And the next scene, they're like, well, that must have been permission that we can go ahead and play. That was all awesome. Of course, that movement of Tina, due to Victor's kind of, I wouldn't say drunken, but pain-induced, got brain tumor. Not going to be making some good decisions, already upset just discovering that your wife is having an affair with Robert here, with Tina's husband. So blurting that out in the middle of the Pride meeting, hey y'all, thanks for coming. By the way, my wife's having an affair with this guy. More angel investors. Anyway, that was, oh man, that was sort of a painful sequence to watch, I have to say. More painful for Victor, who of course immediately collapses right after that. Again, brain tumor, whole thing going on. Which gets Jonah to come up and do something well, I guess Jonah gets pulled in later on, but still, that gets Jonah to actually do a contribution to go and use a serum to save Victor and get him going. Afterwards, he seemed to be so very lovey-dovey. Didn't it? I mean, I guess if you think you're going to die and you're suddenly pulled out of it, you become in a very forgiving mood. But I don't think either Janet or Chase really understood how to sort of deal with that. Now, also in the midst of the party, we have Molly trying to connect with Catherine and get some answers. And this is where that obsession, somebody should have been with Molly. Should have been left by herself. Because, as I had mentioned before, the question she was asking in the email certainly wasn't beating around the bush. Wasn't a subtle way to sort of get some answers. And of course, Catherine's in the middle of this party. She's not just going to go jump and hop over to where Molly wants. But Molly pushed too hard. She did when she was like, "This is, you got to do this before it's too late." I mean, the threat, the time thing. If you're not going to raise suspicion any more than you already have, this was it. Which, of course, we do end up finding out that Catherine has decided that with the language used here, that she's made a terrible mistake. Her expecting that Molly didn't see what was happened down in the basement, obviously did. And that could have been by Molly also saying, "I didn't see anything," surreptitiously. Yeah, way to keep it all on the DL there, Molly. I have to say one thing. I mean, I've enjoyed how the relationships are really kind of connecting here with all the kids. They're coming together really strongly. I was really bummed out with the friction that sort of got created between Gert and Carolina right there. Gert obviously seeing that there might have been some energy going on between Carolina and Nico and just sort of asked about it. But I guess Carolina is still embarrassed, not willing to make that step, not willing to accept that part of her quite yet, and really kind of shoots Gert down with the whole Chase thing. I gotta say, it just kind of bummed me out. I thought a little less of Carolina after that scene. Though vodka can get things going also, I loved her just walking by and sort of grabbing the vodka and heading upstairs. It's the cheap stuff too. But that leads to this scene up between Chase and Carolina there on the roof, which reverts to her falling off of the roof, which normally would be dead, except you can glow and thus also apparently fly. So again, new discovery. Before she could just glow, then suddenly she could shoot light out of her hands, and now she can fly. So there's a lot going on with Carolina right here. And then we do get the kind of kiss between him and Chase. I know I had said last episode, I appreciate the fact that Chase didn't take that moment. Here he did, and even acknowledged that moment. I didn't want to let this pass by without doing anything. So again, we're showing how Chase is into Carolina, but I don't see that, again, not so much reciprocated. I think she's using this as sort of a power manipulation against Gert, maybe the expectations of where she should be without really accepting who she is. So, I mean, I get the dynamics that are happening here, but I'm really hoping Carolina as a character steps away from this and accepts, even if she can't have Nico, because Nico is more into Alex, that she's not going to sort of drag Chase along and sort of rub it in Gert's face. I didn't like that. Though Gert's not the only one getting relationships and energy shoved in her face. Jonah, not subtle. Not subtle at all of how much he is into Leslie and just blocking Frank out of that scene. That was uncomfortable, I have to say, of just, yes, Leslie, you're so wonderful. Oh, hi, Frank. I mean, it was just, God, it was such a dick move. But even when we get at the end, but that seems to be Jonah's character. Because look, all he wants to do is meet Carolina here. And then he does, and he's creepy about it. No wonder Leslie was kind of uncomfortable about their whole meeting. I mean, she's not saying it to his face, but you can say on the look on her face. Because it's just, I'm so glad to meet you. And then the whole kiss hand thing, which in some aspects can be sweet or romantic, but this is dad and daughter, and that energy did not come across right. Did not like that at all. And I don't think Leslie's necessarily really happy with Jonah grabbing Frank and dragging him off. Oh, no. You did go Ultra. Thought you didn't? Thought you were cast aside with that? They said no? Maybe you did. So what does that mean the plans are that Jonah has for Frank? Because, like Leslie says, watching the two of them walk off, whatever's going on, it's not good. Not with the Jonah guy. He's the devil. Oh, and last I just have to say, really was kind of feeling for Nico in these last sequences also, who again has been fighting so much to get her parents put away to show that they're murderers, and now starting to bond with her mom, and that last scene when seeing her crying up in her office, and she can't do anything. She can't step out and help her mom. She can't connect with her. She can't, be there for her because she's breaking into her office. But yeah, having the difficulty seeing humanity in murderers, I think is what you're seeing. And that's sort of the great gray area that the show works well. I mean, with all of the parent-child relationships as it's developing, some of them are splitting apart, other ones are coming together. But it's seeing that there's humans, there's still parents, there's still people. They still have love and hopes and desires and cares. The difference is they're willing to cross a line that other people aren't. And I think this is the difficulty that Nico is having right here. And I think Chase had such in his own way as well. Alex, not happy with his parents at all. But again, dynamics here. All right, that is going to wrap us up for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me with this review. And as always, if you enjoyed it, please share it with your friends. And go ahead and hit that like button. Thoughts, ideas, and comments? Throw those right down in the section below. Twitter and Instagram, @DarrenJakes. This is the address right here. Subscribe with this button and check out other reviews right here. A smorgasbord of choices. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. I'm D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.